ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Mailbag, where we answer your questions to help you with your team this 2023 season. Almost said pre-season again, but that's a long time ago. I'd like to have the pre-season back because there's lots of things I would change. My name is Damo and Clarky is here. How are you, my friend?
I am doing very well. My team was okay last week, but bad, and I don't know why. I'm in like a really bad spot where on paper everything's bueno, and then at the end of the round everything was no bueno. So like a lot of people, I'll be dealing with Doherty this week, and I make the commitment to you, the listener, that by the end of this episode, I will have chosen my replacement for Doherty.
Ooh.
This week's special guest won SuperCoach in 2021. It's SuperCoach Mumma. Thanks for coming back. How are you finding the 2023 season so far?
Delightful. It's great. I have shot myself in the foot because I went out there and I actually was on 360 for like 36 seconds. And I said, it's a long year this year. Durability is the key. It's going to be crazy. Dumbass. Why did you say that for? And then I literally got Tom Stewart, who scored 18 in my second game of the season. I'm like, yeah, great one, Emily. And then Liam Jones, and I'm like, who I broke my 30-year-old rule for because I was trying to go under 30. And I kind of made my rule for Tom Stewart because he actually technically turned 30 in March. And I shot myself in the foot. So, look, I'm doing okay.
I love that we've finally unveiled the cause of your premonition / curse on us all.
Yeah, it's not good.
Carnage.
Well, me and Clarky were looking at the guy who's currently in second spot. He's averaging like 2,300 points or something.
Good team.
And you look at his team and he's only got like four players different to like what most other people have. It's just those points of differences that he selected at the beginning of the year, like Jordan De Goey and those sorts of players that are setting people apart. And there's really not a lot of points separating the top echelon and someone sitting at 50k. It's just about making up those points and going for someone who's got the hot hand at the moment. So
I think roughly looking at it, I think I told you, Damo. So I didn't do math because no. But I looked at it roughly, and I think in terms of total points, I've managed to crawl my way back up to 25,000th-ish. And between me and second place currently is about 800 points. Like, in terms of total points, it's not a lot for, we're only 4 rounds in.
And that means between where you are, Clarky, and where I am, which is 47,000.
Yep.
There's only like 200 points.
Yeah, it's wild. Super close.
Yeah, so it won't take long to get people back to where they are, and people will start to get annoyed the way the season's panning out, and eventually, the cream will rise to the top. But yeah, it's been a hard year. Injuries, suspensions, and Emily, Tom Stewart was supposed to be gone for 6 weeks, but turned into 6 hours. He was back after a week off, and then just almost scored 200 points, or was on track to score 200 points.
Yeah. Yep. It's a tough love. I call him my SuperCoach boyfriend, and he's testing the relationship. And he's been in and out of my team, and I feel like, is this a patch sentence? Or I don't know. I feel like it is a Jock Reynolds sentence. I'm ready to get hurt again.
That sounds like patch. That sounds like it sounds like everyone. So yeah, it's probably just a Jock Reynolds thing.
Ready to get hurt again. But yeah. Anyway, Stuart, what are you doing, mate? I feel like I mean, who would have kept him? I mean, actually, people did keep him because there was so much other stuff going on, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. But yeah, look, with his role and everything, the only thing is Mitch Duncan is back. So I don't know whether I'm overthinking things, But there was talk that Mitch Duncan's role in that halfback role steals points from Stewart. We desperately need Duncan. He was the only person who actually played, got the memo, and played 4 quarters of footy, except Cameron, it's his job. He's just on another planet.
Oh, yeah.
But Duncan
Trade
was
him
the only other one.
Forget Tom Stewart. Trade in Jeremy Cameron, future Coleman medalist and umpire murderer.
I have thought about Cameron. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but
Sorry,
I'm looking for a player who's probably going to be under 400,000 in a couple of weeks, who possibly might be in the same team. But yeah, so it's a bit crazy.
Okay, interesting. We do have a question about Tom Stewart, so we should probably get to the questions. Lazar in the website comments wants to know, do we think that Stewart's price will, I think there's a word missing here, will come back up again or down again after his 167 break-even drops out after round 6? So, obviously, I don't know if it's up or down. So, let's say down again because he's obviously wanting to afford him. So, do we think that Stewart's going to drop another poor score at some point to make him affordable again?
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Because
I do.
It's hard. It's a hard question.
It's really, really hard. Because, look, I don't know. I don't know anymore, because this is a guy who was meant to be out for 4 weeks who came back after, as you said, 6 hours and scored 167. So part of me thinks that it's very Tom-like to get a random injury, to get a concussion. It hurts my soul, but he is injury prone. He is. I love him, but he is. So yes, and he can get in, and it's fun. Tag Stewart, la la la. So that will happen, but he has a really high ceiling. So you just don't know what you're gambling with. So what are you going to lose? How many 160s, 170s are you going to try to miss to try to get that 60 or 70? It's a gamble either way. If I go up, I will be getting Stewart. It's just whether I go up, because I don't have any money in my bank.
Stewart currently, so he's 572, 800. Lost 31k because of that poor score, and he had the poor score, big score, and then an okay score last week. 92, not fantastic, but you'd take that. I think realistically, it's kind of where if we place him as Tom Stewart is like a 105 to 110 guy, this is probably the lowest. Like 570, maybe one minor price drop. His current break even is 69, so probably not going to be another price drop this week, because I can't see Tom Stewart scoring less than 69 unless the cursed injury befalls him, which means that he's actually projected to go up in price this week. So I can kind of see the case where, and it's obviously a prime replacement for Doherty, because it's only going to cost you 50k, to get from Sam Doherty to Tom Stewart, and you've got a guy who you're like, I can hold this. He's a 105 to 110 guy, and this is going to be like, that's set for the year. I've got 3, Sheasel and Zeeble move into your defensive line, then all of a sudden you've got 5 defender primos.
Or at least 5 defenders that can...
4 to 5 defenders that are these are the guys.
Yeah.
And the other question is, what are you guys' thoughts about saving that money, going Stewart if you don't have Dawson? Because, Dawson is what?
618.
Yeah, 618.
That's, so about 30 or 40 more than Stewart. I think you have to get Dawson, really.
Dawson's got the hot hand at the moment. He's on blistering pace at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's optimal. I think to answer Laz's question, go in and get Stewart now, because I don't think it'll take a miracle for him, or like a run of poor games for him to really drop below 550. I would say put that as a safe floor. So
And
there's
then do you
all
really want
upside.
him? So
Yeah.
this is the time. If you want him, this is the time.
He's a top 10. Like, I think we can all agree on that. But I think the optimal thing would be look a little bit past him and get Dawson, because I think Dawson at this rate is going to be 650 in a couple of weeks, maybe even close to 7. Current break even of 67. So yeah, he's going to go up another 20k to 640 thereabouts in the next week.
Lazar actually has a follow-up question. So
Ooh.
he wants to know, to facilitate the likes of trading in a Dawson or an Adam Sard, do we think that Keziah Pickett is a suitable replacement for, say, a Setterfield or a Hopper to offset the cash generation?
Yes and no. Kozzy Pickett he's not just a small forward anymore. He is getting midfield rotations. That is why he will probably be an 85 to 95 guy. And maybe if he kicks a bag, like in round 1, he kicked 4 goals, hit 140. So you're going to have those spikes when he's really on. But then last week playing West Coast, he managed, I believe it was high 80s? 89. Yeah. So he managed an 89. He was at one point, I think, like 0-5 in front of goal. So that 89 could have easily been like a 130 if he kicks 5 goals. So I think it's at your own risk if you go down that path. You've already missed sort of his big, like you're going to miss his big price rise if you don't jump on him. Well, if you don't jump on him this week, you're going to miss that boat for the price rise. So you'd kind of be bringing him in as like an F6 or, and he's going to miss the DPPs as well because he didn't play those 2 games. So you're not going to have DPP on him until well late in the season to even think about moving him to the mids. So you'd have to be comfortable holding him as like an F6 that you're like, this is matchup dependent, towards the end of the season. Melbourne are playing, whoever, North, Essendon, whatever, whoever the good matchup is. So I can see a reason that it would facilitate it, but if you're going to get on it, you need to be doing it this week before he goes up, while he's still cheap, because he's around the same price. I don't necessarily agree with the sidewaysing, though.
Yeah.
But it is more fun.
Yeah. It's too sidewaysy for me. It's too side. Yeah. You need to go up or down. It's too similar price range for me, and he's not going to be a keeper. I mean, you can make you can pretend he's a keeper because you haven't got a choice, but too sideways for me.
I don't understand. Sorry, I'm just trying to visualize it, how Setterfield or Hopper facilitates, like how that sideways into Cozzy through them. Is that?
I wonder if he missed out on one of them, and now it's too late to jump on. But
yeah,
the question only says what it says, so I can only read it as it was submitted.
Lazar, follow up. We want to know more. Thank you for your question. We love you.
Staying in defence,
yeah.
Jeffrey Head wants to know, what would you do with Jordan Ridley? He was on the bench for a lot of that game against the Giants, and he still scored okay points per minute. And yeah, Mason Redman's probably getting the bulk of it, but I don't think Jordan Ridley is that big of an issue at the moment. I think people are getting a little bit impatient with the year, and we've got a question later on where we can discuss this, but I don't think Jordan Ridley is your biggest problem. And if you think he's your biggest problem, then your team's going a lot better than some others.
I think Jeffrey's is going better than mine at the moment, if I remember reading his results on Twitter correctly. Look.
Yeah. His break even's 93. Just hold him.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Like, and this is the thing, right? And listeners may have gotten this vibe from me as a human, where when it comes to SuperCoach, I'm torn between 2 things. One's the fun option, fun weekend dad trade-in, and the other one is smart, sensible, gets you ready for school and drives you to school on time parent. Redmond season, baby. Like, get it while the getting's good. But also, at the moment, Ridley's kind of fine. It's definitely a luxury trade. Bring in Jake Lloyd. Jump on the train. The Seagull's back, baby.
Yeah, Redmond is one that I'm really considering because I only want to make one trade personally. I don't want to make 2 trades for Doherty, but what concerns me with Redmond is the Ridley factor, that they're a little bit like the Gawn and Grundy, minus the fact, healthy, where they kind of steal each other's points, and then like one role, they're like role dependent and they could like swap. And is Redmond doing amazing because is he on the bench for some reason? Is he, having an injury or something? Then once Ridley gets better, will they swap and then Redmond will become a dud? Like it's, I'm not sure about it.
Redmond so far seems to have a lot more freedom, I think, in their style of play. It kind of feels like.
So with Ridley, if you look at his scores, he's gone 107, 70 against the Gold Coast Suns, 96 against St Kilda, and then 88 against the Giants. So if you take out the 70 against Gold Coast, he's averaging about a point per minute that he's on the ground, which is pretty good for, it's because most players will play 90 to 100 minutes of a game. So that's pretty good. The one game where he scored 70 was against Gold Coast, where Essendon absolutely smashed them. And in that second half, I don't think the ball went down to Essendon's defence all that much. So I think that if he's your biggest issue, then your team's going okay, and you could probably just not trade for this week. I don't think Jordan Ridley is someone who you need to get rid of.
And I'm sorry, Patch, if you're listening, but are Essendon going to keep winning? Is the question. They might.
I feel like it's not a mailbag if we don't have someone just like rib Patch a little bit.
Look, but Ridley could go up. No,
Yeah, no, things are fine. Patch, you'll keep winning forever.
Forever.
I shouldn't say that. I think we're playing Essendon this week. I'm nervous about that.
Next question comes from Oliver on Twitter. He wants to know, is Mitch Duncan or Oliver Florent options as cheaper options in defence? Mitch Duncan has played one game for 116, so I wouldn't go near him just yet.
Mitch Duncan, hard no.
I'm not a huge fan of Ollie Florent either. He's played 4 games where he's got 85, 107, 79, and 135. So, yeah, he's averaging 101.5, but it just feels too up and down for me, considering you're seeing him as a premium option. He is 440k, which that's a nice price, but I don't like either of them, to be honest.
Yeah, Florence. It's not like you got the spike score, and that spike score makes him look real tasty, like seeing that top piece of bread on the loaf. You're like, that's a good one, and then you get to the one underneath that, and it's not so good. Someone's crushed it because they picked it up with their big gorilla hands. So that 145 against Port is, great football player. Love Florent. I think he's real talented, but is he going to score like 100s every week? Probably not. You'd say it's 50-50 literally from the stats of this year, and he hasn't really done that before. So wait for Mitch Duncan, see what happens.
I want to see what Mitch Duncan does against West Coast, and because it was his first game of the year against the Hawks, his price will remain the same after the West Coast game anyway. So you've got another week to see what his output's going to be like. So he's probably the better option out of the two, but I don't love either of them.
Yeah, can I just put my Geelong spiel on it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, this is a bit anti-Geelong, but I love Mitch. But he's 31, and so he played 19 games last year. All right, 10 the other year in 2021. Okay, his durability. He also gets concussed a bit. And he also does have these injuries as well. And he is so important. So if he's playing well, he'll get rested. He will. He'll absolutely get rested or subbed or vice versa. So he's a short term and he's not cheap enough to be a cash cow. You would want it to be a cheap keeper. I just don't think he's reliable enough for a cheap keeper. Love you, Mitch.
Friend of the show.
So this next question is one we were discussing before we hit record, and it actually stemmed from my team because I've got about 80 million trade options that I can do to. I've got to get rid of Nankervis, but my question is, if Will Day doesn't get cleared at the tribunal, do I hold him for 2 weeks? Can you hold him for 2 weeks? I'm sure there's other owners out there that have the same question. It feels like 2 weeks is a long hold, and we spoke about it at the top of the show how close we all are to the top of the table, and does holding him just set you just hold you back from moving forward?
Yeah, I reckon. I know it's hard because the tribunal is also might impact the start of the first round, but if he's got a good chance, do you think, of being downgraded to one game, and you would keep him for one game? So I do think too. I know trays and everything are just getting used a lot, but I think I could understand why you would use use a trade for Will Day for 2 weeks.
Look, fun dad, fun weekend, part-time dad, says Damo, listen to that little guy on your shoulder. Bring in someone fun. Bring in Adam Sart. Bring in Nick Haynes for 2 weeks. Make a little bit of cash, see what you can do with it. But the sensible person in me says you got to hold. I think it's hard because it's, in terms of overall result, it's dependent on what other people are doing. So I think most Will Day owners will probably even say, if it's 2 games, you kind of cop that. Like there's no real point. Yes, we have more trades and stuff this season, but I think we're kind of, we kind of burnt through those extra ones now. We're into like the real trades. It kind of feels like we had like a little bit of extra chocolate on top, and now we've gotten to like, oh well, this has got to last. I've got to make this last, like this last bit, because I'm not going shopping again for another week.
I mean, at his current output, I probably do want him in my team at the end of, by the end of the year. So if I trade him out, I'd be having to trade him back in again eventually. So
exactly.
It's just so difficult because you finally get someone in who's doing well, but and then they get suspended. It's frustrating.
I know, and yeah, I felt like it was so frustrating with Cameron because I actually got a good pick, and everyone was trading him in, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then he got injured before he made more money, and I'm like, oh, it's just not fair. And Will Day has not made. Now I'm going to take on Clarky's bandwagon. Fun mum.
Yeah. Fun
Woo!
parents. Damo, your fun SuperCoach parents are here now to tell you what to do.
Tom Barras.
That's really fun. That's so fun, Damo.
That's so fun.
I need to look him up. Tell me about him.
Yeah, so what's his face has been injured. The McGovern. McGovern has been injured.
The other one. They're all been injured. They're West Coast.
Yeah. So he's got one poo score, which we just will ignore. But he's actually, apart from that, and he actually had a really good late 2022 as well. So
four rounds, Damo. 103. I think they had a bye round 2. Third round 110. Round 4 116. So really, he's had more hundreds than he's had under 100s.
Yeah.
And it seems like that GWS game, that looks like a really big anomaly, the 34. But 3 scores over 100.
So
it kind of looks like Tom Stewart 2019 numbers.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I can see that.
Like before he broke the ceiling off the joint and then went to that next level. This is kind of the range that he would score in, and he would have those random 40s where we had to match up on a team that was a little bit, taller up front. So I don't mind it. I mean, it definitely comes out of nowhere, doesn't it?
Are you having fun?
So last year, this is from round 18 onwards, 149. I've skipped the 69 on round 17, so I will say that. 132, 109, 104, 126, 83. So I agree with you. Like his consistency, he's still working on his consistency. And I have a pet cricket, and I do apologise if you can hear that. We're having a cricket problem at the moment. And
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. They're everywhere. At least it's not cicadas. Yeah, no, Damo. That's fun.
Sensible mum. No, Damo. Consider holding day, or try to move your money around and get an actual premium to keep. That's sensible, mum.
I'm leaning towards keeping him because I've got the cover as long as the rookies are nice to me, and
Well, Cowan's been named.
That's good. Now I need Jinbeard to not be arrested, and McKenna to keep playing, and Wilmot to not get omitted for Daniel Rich, and so fingers crossed.
It's fun.
Luke sent us an email.
Thanks, Luke.
He's getting worried. He thinks people are being impatient. Supercoach has always been a long game, and there are always players that come out of the woodwork that we need to target as the year progresses. But it feels like everyone is sideways trading and getting frustrated with proceedings. Have we forgotten how to play the game?
Oh, I mean, bit stiff on the last comment, Luke. I'll be honest. I haven't forgotten. We're fun. We're fun here.
I will say this. With the extra trades, people have been making a lot more corrective trades.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got to have the right players in your team. So if you picked up someone who's a dud and you've given them the extra couple of weeks to see if they can get some form, then obviously you need to corrective trade if they're not turning it around. But I don't know if it's that everyone has forgotten how to play the game. I think it's just that there's shorter formats of Supercoach over the summer, like the BBL format, where things move a lot quicker. And
or NRL.
And the NRL is also another format that moves a lot quicker as well. So I think it's more that all of these summer formats that people have been involved with, like even the NBA fantasy, the NFL fantasy, that moves pretty quickly as well. I think people coming into an AFL Supercoach format, they're probably getting impatient, but it's more that they've come from a faster format of the same sort of game. So I think people will settle once they realise that trades are valuable, and I don't think people have forgotten that trades are valuable. I just think that the extra trades have given people more freedom to make more moves, or given people more freedom in their head to make more moves.
I think you might have a good perspective on this, Em, as a past winner, knowing what it's like to be in that upper echelon. Like, do you feel like there has been a consistent change in sort of the way like the big top level players are sort of playing it at the moment?
Yeah, well, it's hard to say because I don't know. I'm a very conservative, a little bit more conservative player. I'm not really a risky player, so maybe I needed to be a bit more of a risk taker. I know JP, who won last year, he's more of a risk taker, and with the boosts that suited. However, I honestly think that that you need a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but we are seeing more injuries than than maybe we have ever seen. And I do think that people are going to be running out of trades. And people are not going to be possibly able to finish teams if this keeps going. If the injuries keep happening, and then if we keep side trading. So I definitely see the point. But I also think that you can't, like other people traded Doc. Was that the right thing to do? Well, in hindsight, maybe, but the numbers didn't. It seems like, how many disposals did he get for 83 points?
Yeah, it was like 39 disposals or something like that, but because his efficiency was bad.
Yeah, so I just think, look, maybe in hindsight, maybe you could be a bit more aggressive, but I think it is a real balance. And as I said from the start, which I do regret saying, is this is the longest season we've ever had. This is 24 rounds. They will play 23 games. We got one extra trade, but we got one extra round. So, so that's what I think. But I am more of a conservative player. And the year that I won, I had a really good starting team, but there was COVID happened, and it was chaos. And I happened to miss some of that chaos. A bit of luck involved, a bit of trades, but but I managed that conservative style really suited for that year, and maybe not this year, but we'll see. I'm trying to just stick with my game. I'm trying not to be someone else this year. I tried to be a bit different last year, and I'm actually sticking to my game this year. So,
yeah, I think ultimately what I think about it, and I understand what Luke's saying, in terms of it does feel like the pace, like you said, Damo, has kind of been really different because I can't think of a season in recent memory where every week I've had so many people that I see like going, I'm trading this person, I'm trading this person, I'm trading this person, I got to bring in this person, I got to bring. Usually the first couple rounds of the year, super chill. You just like, have I nailed the rookies? Yeah, good. All right, just wait for that cash. But this year it's been like, oh well, no, I got to jump off this underperformer to get onto this performer. But at the end of the day, for me, the way I see it is like, well, that extra trade, or I predominantly, for some reason in my head, remember SuperCoach like in past. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it was like 30 trades or something. Like, I don't know, like I didn't even know if it was ever that low at the point I've been playing. But, I kind of go, well, those extra trades, whatever they are, if you're a conservative player like UM, or if you're a more out there player like maybe JP, or anyone who is a bit more aggressive in their trades, like you're going to use those additional trades at some point during the season. So why does it matter if you use them now versus if you use them at the end of the season? Because the game hasn't changed, and people haven't forgot that the game is to get as many premiums into your team as possible over the course of the year. If that happens sooner, some people see that as an edge. Some people, more conservative, have a long-term strategy and go, well, I've nailed my cash, so I can just go bang, bang, bang. It comes down to individual style rather than people necessarily forgetting. And like I said, it's not to say that I don't understand Luke's point, because I do agree with it to a sense where it feels impatient. Like to expose myself on this here podcast, I started this year with Will Day. I traded him and Bailey Dale, and I traded them both out over 2 different weeks because of poor scores. The first one, I traded Will Day that first week to Nick Dacos. Hindsight, that's kind of worked out. I traded Bailey Dale to Mason Redman, who then had a bad score. That was a bad decision. That was an impatient move on my part, and that's just who I am as a player. Not a great move. I can recognize that. But then I got sick of Mason Redman, and I did the exact same thing again, not learning from my own mistakes, and brought in Jordan Dawson this week. So, you can't measure you make the decision based on how you want to play the game, and sometimes that's going to be good. Jordan Dawson scored 173 this week, and I guarantee you, I felt on top of the gosh darn moon. I was like, yeah, I did it. Nick Dacos captain 150. I brought in Jordan Dawson 170. Bang, bang. This is going to be a good week. I still scored 2,100. I probably would have scored that with the same team that I had last week. So, don't use hindsight to shame how people want to play the game. Not saying that's what Luke's doing, but you don't look at someone and go, you're doing it wrong. Because we're all doing it differently, but we're all trying to get to the same goal. And that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, just focus on your own team, I reckon. And the mistake that I did last year was I'm conservative. Oh, I'm a bit behind. Rash trades. And then I was on less trades with a crap team. And then I just did both bad things. So this year I'm like, all right, I'm still trading, but just I'm being a little bit more conservative, but I'm trying to make sure that everything I do, it's just, And I do, yeah. I actually have a question for, I don't know how many more questions, but I did actually have a question for Damo, for both of you. And it's a bit risky, but I probably need,
I like it. I think you brought us homework last time as well.
oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I did. I really like that segment. Thank
No, it's good.
you.
We need a sting for it now.
No, it's just Corey Wagner, Damo. Is it crazy to bring him in without him playing a game? I'm so desperate for a defender rookie.
I like this question.
I watched him play for Peel against East Fremantle in the season opener on Friday night, and he looked very good. If he is going to debut this week, then I don't mind it. And Justin Longmuir has a history of allowing debutants to find their feet a bit, so he should get a few games under his belt, whether that's one price rise or two price rises before he eventually sees the boot. I'm not sure, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it is desperate, and I will admit that. It's just if I wanted cash, and Liam Jones is the only, and this is the thing that I think I've heard also. It's a little bit like that impatient thing. I don't think people should be trading the good rookies or like Gimby, for example. We don't know, like, he's still got lots more cash to make, even if he's rested. I don't know if he's the one to trade, or other rookies and everything. Just Liam Jones is the one that I am comfortable ditching. Even like someone like Davey to JVR, I'm not in love with it, because JVR, am I getting the name right? He might be dropped really soon, and Davey won't be. So you're just trading in a donut. And like, Wagner could be a donut, I get that, but I feel like he has potential to not be. And I just like it more than young, blah, who's already had one price increase. So that's what it's a little bit, and that I would say that I'm a safe player, but they're the risks that I take, but calculated risks. Because that I have heard good things about Wagner as well.
Casey Demon, great.
I remember a few years ago, Bryce Mitchell brought in Brett Bewley before he debuted on my advice that he would probably get a debut during the season, because it gave him a loophole option, but also gave him an eventual cash cow as the season progressed that he didn't need to trade into his team. And eventually he was able to use the cash from Brett Bewley to upgrade to someone, and that was a trade that he didn't need to use because he started with that player. So I don't mind getting someone in who hasn't debuted yet if you're confident enough and if you know enough that they're going to debut at some point. Corey Wagner's obviously in the mix to debut this week. He's got AFL experience. He's a rebounder off half back. He loves to tackle. He's brings a bit of everything to the table. He knows what you're going to get from him. He's got dual position, so even if he does get dropped after a couple of games, you're not completely lost from he's not completely lost from use. So I don't mind it. I would only bring him in if he's named, though.
Oh yeah, no, I would only bring him if he was named, and not the sub. Obviously, I mean, named top 22. I would I would only do that. Bring him in, but it's still a bit risky. But
I think there's another player who could fit in that similar, while we're talking about potentially going early and also having that potential loophole. Josh Fahey, GWS. He's a defender mid, 123, 900, 37 disposals on the weekend playing against Coburg. So I think you've got another one who, in the likes of, we know GWS have a favourable schedule for Lupin. So if you wanted to go early on another one like that, I haven't heard anything. He's not been announced anything that he's coming, but just someone who I've had my eye on because I feel like there could be an eventual there.
And I think he had 39 the week before as well. So he's one that's finding the ball with a good with some fair ease in the VFL.
Can I be honest? You lost me at GWS, but that's okay.
Vice captaincy options. Every team is playing in Adelaide, so is it? And Clayton Oliver likes to score 200s in Adelaide.
He does.
He's not against Adelaide, but
they are playing on the Saturday though.
Yeah, you could put the VC on him.
Yeah.
Really
Nick Dacos, I like just about every week now. Hard to get past.
I like Tim English against Scott Lysett because Scott Lysett isn't really a negating ruckman, so I can see Tim English coming away with a big score. I don't mind. He didn't have a great game against Geelong, but I don't mind James Sicily against the Giants as a fullback option as well, as a captaincy option. Obviously, the vice captaincy, you got Dawson, Laird, Cripps on the Thursday night. You got
probably
Sean,
not Laird.
Who knows?
I don't think he's worth the shake anymore as like a VC or C option when we've got you've got Dawson's and you've got Oliver's and you've got even like a Josh Kelly types who are kind of scoring more regularly in that sort of acceptable captain tier, which I don't know if you guys have it differently. Mine's usually like 120 plus is kind of where I want to hit.
Grundy VC for me.
Ooh, spicy. My boy.
It's not against Draper. It's not that spicy.
Draper known for negating some ruckmen in terms of their scoring. A lot of ruckmen come up against Draper and have had poor scores, including Sean Darcy.
Okay.
So
maybe a bit spicy.
But Grundy is athletic enough. I think he's more of an athletic ruckman than, say, a strictly tap ruckman. It'll depend on our setup, I think, against it. But I do like it. It's a good VC option.
Okay. With Dacos, there is a rumour that Ross, the boss, will tag because.
Yeah, but
Nick Dacos wants the ball. Give him the ball.
He's like
I don't think there's a team that hasn't tried to tag him yet. I just don't think he cares.
Yeah, honestly, it seems like he does not care at all.
It's like teams go to him and he just plays. He doesn't think about his opponent. He just thinks about going and getting the ball and using the ball. He doesn't think about any of that other stuff. So the tagger is just kind of like, hey, come back here. I'm not, like,
who's he going to tag him with?
Yeah.
Who's going to run with Dacos for the whole night? Like, Ross has other things to worry about, I think, coming up against
Well, it was just something that something said. If it does, I will be captaining him if needs be. But I think if Dacos was a breed of dog, this is very random, he would be a Kelpie. Like, boo, 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 and just...
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's a question we can ask.
I'm about this.
What breed of dog?
This is like a whole episode of first. I don't think we've ever had a guest who's come on and gone, I regret making comments because we double down here and don't ever feel we don't shame. Everything is valid. And number 2, dog impressions, which I think is a segment we need to add in.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now, and I think Tom Green kind of resembles like a bulldog puppy.
Oh yes.
Brody Grundy has the head shape of a chihuahua, but like big, like it's too long, but he's got like the ears. Sorry, I love that man.
We could go on.
This has gone off the rails. I'm putting the VC on Oliver and putting the C on Tim English, but it could change to Nick Dacos that captaincy band Clarky, what are you leaning towards?
I'm gonna run with Dacos into Clary. I think Clary.
You mean Clary into Dacos?
Yeah, whichever order it is. I forget.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot. I had it backwards. Anyway, one of them. I better switch that now, actually. While I remember. Yeah, just because makes sense. My loophole is a GWS is Madden anyway, so I need to kind of pick someone in before that. Oliver just makes sense. Hot run. They're going to give him the ball a lot.
I don't mind Josh Dunkley against North Melbourne in the Adelaide Hills, but we haven't seen a game in the Adelaide Hills yet, so we don't know what that ground's going to be like, or whether it's the size of a jam lid, or whether it's the size of a big, like whether it's a big old farm. So I don't know how that game's going to go. But I don't mind Josh Dunkley as an option. I don't mind Errol Goulden against the Tigers as a bit of a VC option. The Tigers don't tag; they're a bit run down with injuries. He could have a bit of fun with them, and I think Errol Goulden is also from South Australia, so might need to fact check that one. But
no, I refuse.
So
you stand by that.
I don't mind him as an option either.
I did just have LDU. I had a bit of a down game last week, but coming back off, some calf soreness. I think he'll bounce back. I don't think Brisbane necessarily will run anyone against him.
The thing that stood out to me was against Carlton, he couldn't handle a tag. It was only until the last quarter or so where he really got off the chain. So to bring his score to a respectable total. So that's one that's something to monitor to people that are bringing him in, but or thinking about bringing him in. But that's the only thing that sort of worries me about LDU. That's all the questions for today. Thanks for being here, Clarky.
It's always a pleasure. Oh, my Sam Doherty replacement is Tom Stewart because it just makes sense. Keeper for a keeper, babies.
Very good. Thank you for being here, Emily, SuperCoach Mumma.
No problem. Always a pleasure. Always fun.
We love inviting guests here just so that we can ask them questions about our team. The listener questions are kind of just a good byproduct of that. So thank you so much for being here. We absolutely love having you on.
No problem. I'm a very sensible guest.
Yes.
If you have a question... Oops, sorry.
You go.
No, you go first.
No, I was just going to say, if Wagner's named, I'm going to get him and Dawson.
Sounds perfect. Oh, Tom Liberatore. If you're a Tom Liberatore owner, consider it. VC. There you go. Smokey of the week. Anyway, Damo, wrap up the podcast.
If you have a question you'd like answered, all you have to do is tag your question with Jock Mailbag on social media or send an email to jockmailbag@gmail.com, and we'll talk next time.
Go D's.
Bye.